Hi, this is Tammy from Broken Spoke Stable, and welcome to our second training video. Today we're going to work on lunging. I know that might sound like, why are we working on lunging? Everybody knows how to do that. But I hope that I'm going to give you some extra tips and running your horse around in a circle that you will develop a good relationship with your equine partner. And I'm using Phoenix today, and I hope that he does what he usually does when we lunge. And we'll get started here in just a second. So for this exercise, we're going to be using our rope halter again, 12-foot lead line. That's really important. I like a rope halter that's a little more stiff, and especially whenever I'm doing lunging, I like a cotton lead line, not one of those lead lines that have the silky thread in it, because that can slip right through your hand. I always wear gloves. You don't have to do that, but I do because I like to protect my hands. And the other tool that I'm going to be using is just a simple fiberglass stick with a Walmart bag tied on the end of it. And this is just an extension of my hand. It's nothing else. This is, I don't like the word lunge whip, but this should not scare my horse. So when I reach over here and rub him like this, my bag should not scare my horse. Nothing about this should scare him. So we're going to get started here. All right, so the first thing I do when I get ready to lunge a horse is I position my lead rope in my hand. I'm going to run it through my little finger, right across the inside of my hand, and right up here through my thumb and index. So I'm going to have it like this so that I can squeeze my fingers down on it, but yet it still gives me a little bit of slack. If I want to let some out or pull some in, I have lots of room to do that. Whenever I ask my horse to send off, I'm going to stand in front of him like this. I'm going to point my finger the direction I want him to go, which is to the left. And my horse should walk right off. And right now I just want him to walk. So now my horse is jogging, and that's what I want, for him to jog. And if he breaks stride, if he were to break stride, I'm just going to point my two fingers up, which pointing my fingers is like asking him, like Phoenix, I want you to jog. And if he doesn't jog, then I'm going to just raise my bag a little bit and get some energy. I myself want to walk in a circle, so I'm walking in a circle. My toes are pointed in a circle. I'm asking my horse to go in a circle, so I'm going to go in a circle. I'm going to keep my belly button lined up with his shoulder. That's a big mistake that a lot of people make. They get way out in front of their horse, and there he broke stride. So they get out in front of their horse. So if you want to check yourself, just hold your stick up, make sure your belly button is right against your belly button there, and you're going to hold it out. And if it doesn't line up with his shoulder, if you're back here in the rib cage or you're up here, then you're too far forward or backward. And that's very important. I'm going to hold my left hand down. I'm not going to keep it raised up. I'm not going to try to keep sending him out there. I'm simply just going to ask, and that's all I want, is to be able to point, cluck, and have him go at the trot like this just whenever I ask. Too many people try to drag their horses around when they're lunging. My stick is pointed at the bottom of his front foot. I'm not holding it up like this. This is pressure. This is pressure on the horse. I just want this to be down here. I want him to respect this if I raise it up. Like if I was to ask him to go a little faster, the first thing I'm going to do is point, cluck, shake my stick at him. There, he's not listening real well. And if I have to, I might just smack him in the belly there. The whole while keeping my belly button pointed at his shoulder. When I decide that I'm done going this direction, if I just want him to stop and face me, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to face the hip, just like we did last week in the disengaging of the hip. So I'm going to turn and face his hip, slide my hand, and step towards him. And that's exactly what he should do, is stop and face me. And if you did your disengaging of the hip last week, it really should help a lot, because anytime now, if you've practiced that a lot, I just show you here, if you turn and walk towards his hip like this, you should get a disengagement anyway. And that's like last week, we were tapping towards it and we were a lot closer to the horse. But once your horse gets that exercise down, boy, that opens up the door for a whole lot of cool things you can do with your horse. So I just wanted to show that he knows how to do that. So let's send him back out. We're tracking left. I want him to trot, point, cluck. Now when I go to change direction, I need to stop my horse from his forward motion. But the first thing I need to do is switch my stick and string to my other hand, because as soon as he changes direction, I'm going to need to use this at the drive line here at the shoulder to keep him moving. So what I'm going to do in order to get that to happen is I'm going to open up my hand, my 3 fingers here, put this underneath, slide, step. Oh, and here we go. Now, if your horse does that, if he acts stupid or just wants to get some energy, so he's loping, I didn't ask for this, but since he decided to do that, I might just go ahead and have him do it some more. So we're going to change direction again. Open up my 3 fingers here. Put this under, step in front of him, change direction. And I'm just going to do a couple direction changes for a minute to get some of his, like I said, he's been penned up here. We've had such lovely weather. There he wasn't paying attention to me very well. Open up my fingers, step in front, point, get him out there. Now I'd like to get a little bit more energy. There we go. Oh, I didn't ask for that, but hey, I wanted more energy, so if he wants to give me that, I'm fine with that. One thing that's very important is to make sure that your lead line stays nice and loose. You don't want it to be taut. You don't want it to be pulling on him. The only time I'm going to pull on him is if he decides to take his head to the outside of the circle. I might give a little pull on his nose. Now that he's moving faster, let's see what he does when I change direction. Yeehaw! I like when they rock back like that. All right, so now we're going to show you some common mistakes people make, and believe me, I see lots and lots of mistakes. I see mistakes with lunging everywhere. I see it at warm-up show pins at shows. I see it here at my stable when people are out here just working their horse themselves. There's lots of mistakes to be made when you're lunging. And if you make the mistakes, then your horse can't move to the ability, the athletic ability that you want them to move if you're keeping them from moving. So let me just show you some of these mistakes. I'm probably going to exaggerate them a little bit, so that's fine. I have to sometimes turn around and walk away because I kind of start chuckling, not laughing at the person, just kind of laughing sometimes, wondering what the horse is thinking. So this horse is pretty laid back, so I might not be able to get him as fired up as what I could another horse, but we'll see what we can do. And let's just start with mistake number 1. Remember, when you start lunging, you want to stand out in front of your horse. But this is a big mistake. I'll tell people, stand out here and send your horse, but they'll do this. Come on, come on, come on, come on, oh, come on, come on. And they'll start chasing their horse. Come on. They'll start running with their horse. Oh, he's going faster than I want him to. What do I do now? I guess I need to change direction. They'll take this over the top. They'll stop. They'll look. Oh, I got it now. Again, this is a big mistake. They'll take this over the top. They'll look down. They'll take their eyes off their horse. Oh, I want you to go this way. They'll start doing stupid stuff like this. Obviously, he has no idea what I'm asking him to do. Come on, come on. And then they'll walk right up to their horse. They'll walk up to their horse, and he wants nothing to do with that. They'll walk up, and they'll try again. Come on. All right. So, thank you for doing that. I didn't even ask, but that's a good boy. So that's mistake number one, not sending your horse. The way to correct that mistake, step out in front of your horse, point your 2 fingers. If your horse doesn't move, shake your stick at their shoulder, which is their drive line. This is where your girth is going to go. This is where your leg's going to go when you're riding. So the whole purpose of this is to get your horse to start moving when you ask, so that when you're under saddle, your horse will move right off. Mistake number 2, and this is a big one, not staying lined up with the shoulder. Belly button should be facing that shoulder. Sometimes people get out here like this. They're out in front of their horse, they're way out here, they start shaking this here. The horse is like, why are they shaking that in front of me? And people get way out here, and you can't do this. You have to be watching your horse. You can't have your belly button facing clear out here. Now this guy, he's a good boy, and he's going to keep trotting for me because he knows what he's supposed to be doing. But you have a horse that's never done this before, they're going to stop dead in their tracks, like, why is she out in front of me? Mistake number 3, people don't walk in a circle. They don't keep their own feet in a circle. They'll do this. Look what happened to him. They'll stand here. They'll take these little teeny tiny baby steps. Sometimes they'll just stand here for several steps. She said, keep my belly button. And they'll stand here like this. Oh. And then they'll do something like that. You can't do that. You have to keep walking. You're asking your horse to walk, so you have to keep walking. It's as simple as that. It's kind of like a dance. If you were dancing with your partner and they just suddenly stopped moving, it wouldn't be dancing anymore. So we want to keep in rhythm with our horse. The next mistake, I see this a lot at warm-up, in the warm-up pin at shows. Your horse is already doing what you've asked it to do. He's being compliant. I ask him to jog around, he's jogging, and then I'll see this. Their horse is already doing what they've asked, and I'll see this. Constant nagging. Constant nagging. Before long, if I did this constantly, this would be a desensitized tool, and it would no longer be beneficial to me. It would just be another thing that he gets used to. I want him to respect this. This is an extension of my arm. So the next common mistake is when you just want your horse to stop. I always tell people to slide their hand, step towards their tail. It seems extremely simple, but a lot of times people make that really hard. And instead of stepping towards their horse, they step away. And this happens way more than what I can even begin to tell you, and I don't know why. It seems unnatural to me, but a lot of people do what's unnatural when they're working a horse. So let me just show you. Again, I'm going to point, cluck. He needs to walk off. Right there, he's like, oh, I don't know what she wants. So this is what they'll do. They'll get this slide, and instead of stepping with the left foot, they'll step like this. When you step to move your horse's hip over, you want to be looking at that hip. Remember, we did this last week when we disengaged. You want to be looking towards that hip. That's how you move your horse, is you have to walk towards the part that you want to move. So that's just simple lunging by disengaging the hip and by changing direction. I look forward to next week whenever we're going to work on some circle driving and maybe some C patterns so that you can see where you can take lunging. Going around in circles is boring after a while. It's boring for us, it's boring for the horse. So next week we're going to liven it up a little bit, and we're really going to dance really pretty with our horses next week. So I hope you'll tune in and join us. Thank you.
Oh, I should have been a cowboy. I might have had a sidekick with a funny name running.